Hey there, I'm looking at Mark chapter 16, and we're talking about 17 and 18 today. There is an entire movement based on these two scriptures. It's called the charismatic movement. I was actually a part of that for a while. The New Apostolic Reformation, NAR. It's also called the Word of Faith movement. There's a Pentecostal movement is another one. So these movements are based upon these two scriptures, and it's like, when I was in the Word of Faith movement, for instance, of the Word of Faith Church, we heard a whole lot about, Jesus wanting us to be rich. I felt like we kind of, I felt like at the time that was important to me because I'm saying, why do I need to hear about salvation again and again? Hello, there's a world around us that's damned and going to hell. I need to be talking to those people about salvation. And I wasn't really, when you hear something over and over again, you tend to repeat it. So here I am talking to people about getting rich instead of getting saved. That's not what Jesus died on the cross for. Jesus didn't die to make you rich. He didn't die so you can have a mansion. He didn't die so you can name it and claim it and blab it and grab it. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I better read these scriptures and then we can talk about it. I'm just letting you know where I come from ahead of time because I don't like people sneaking up on me and I don't want to sneak up on you. So if you are a person that really believes in blab and grab it, you can turn the video off now. I'm not going to cry. But I do want you to understand where I came from, why I used to hold to these scriptures very strongly, why they're underlined in my, it says Holy Bible, but it's a New King James Version, Spirit-Filled Life. That's what I'm looking for, Spirit-Filled Life. Yes, it is the charismatic Bible. There's a lot of charismatic footnotes. There's a lot of charismatic kingdom concepts, kingdom this, kingdom that. Boy, they were really into the kingdom, and I'm, thankful that I got out of that because honestly, there's a lot of things in there that sounded wonderful. And but when you step back and look at it, if the preacher really believes that every time you give to God, he gives back sevenfold, blah, 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 why is he not giving his entire paycheck every time to God? Because if you truly believe that 100%, then there's it's a no-brainer. Just every time you get you find a penny on the floor, you give it to God. And he'll bless you. And it'll be like, and eventually you become a bazillionaire. That's why Jesus died on the cross, right? That's the way I kind of came out of that feeling like, I'm starting to realize that it's also a lot of people in there that were power hungry for one reason or another, whether it be for good reasons or bad. And I'm like, it kind of draws that kind of crowd. I'm not saying that you are if you're into it, because I wasn't. I just wanted to finally stop having to work several jobs, start enjoying life. But then I start realizing, there's other things that I need to be looking at instead of this. And I need to be talking to people about salvation because I feel like that's what's important. Not, oh, you want to get saved because you want to drive a nice car like me. Oh, you want to get saved so you can be rich like me. No, you want to be saved so you won't burn in hell. That's the main reason. And then you start knowing the Jesus that I know and you fall in love. All right, so let's just look at this because I've been beating around the bush a little bit too long. And I'm getting a little dry at the mouth. These things will follow those who believe. In my name, they will cast out demons. This is the way I used to say it. They will cast out demons. They will speak in new tongues. They will take up serpents. They will, no, the will's not there. I just got through it in. Drink anything deadly, and it will by no means hurt them. And they will lay on hands on the sick, and they will recover. So when people say, oh, well, we need to be claiming it and naming it and doing all this stuff right here. And these signs will follow as my names, they will cast out demons. We need to be casting demons out. Let's talk to the north and talk to the south and talk to the east and talk to the west. And I used to pray a lot like that. When I was in this movement, I was claiming it and naming it and speaking to the north, south, east, west to release my people, let them go. And I was really into that. They will cast out demons. They will speak with new tongues. They really believe in the speaking in tongues thing. I'll talk about that in a minute. I never experienced it the way they experienced it. I did have 2 experiences in my life where I spoke with a new tongue, but it wasn't something I forced. I didn't come out with. I didn't do it in church. I didn't do it for a show. It was 2 different times in my life where I ever spoken what you might consider tongues. One time I had a vision of heaven, and yes, I know, isn't that kind of strange? That's not very Baptist. It happened. That's all I can say. And when Jesus said, I want you to tell people what earth is about, at first I was like, it's nice. I was on my phone. It's all symbology. It's nice. And all of a sudden the clouds, the haze, the fog rolled away, and I don't remember what I saw, but all I know is it was so much information my brain couldn't take it, which showed I wasn't dead because I wasn't in my new perfect state of being. Got to come back to earth. And I started speaking so much. It was like trying to catch Niagara Falls in a thimble. That's what it was like to speak in tongues at the time I did in a vision. I wasn't doing it in real life. Another time I was reading King's. I used to read on my, if I had my Bible CD, I'd read the lyrics to make sure they're on the level, because I don't want any wishy-washy, maybe it's okay to be Buddhist and Christian kind of stuff in my music. I was reading King's Eggs, which I know what you're going to say. Aren't they? Yeah. But at the time, I was having a lot of hope in this band. One day, one of the lyrics says, "One day I'll see you face to face." And I was like, of course, I always interpreted all these love songs for Jesus. So I immediately come out of my mouth, and I was awake. I was wide awake. It felt like a sauna inside of my chest coming out of my mouth. And it shocked me. I covered my mouth immediately, and I was like, "Whew." And then I opened it up again, and I spoke it out to like, until I just finally, it ended. So that was the only, I was completely alone. I wasn't doing it to impress anybody or to, you know, and I'm not saying anybody who does it for that reason. That's the only 2 times I ever had that experience. A lot of times when I'm standing in church and I'm hearing people around me speak like that, I'm going, how many people are actually doing it for real? Or how many people are doing it just because they hear other people doing it? That's one of the things that kind of bothered me, because they always kept, you know, it was important. It was important. It's like going, a lot of these things are pushed more than salvation, and that's kind of what got me out of it. I just felt like I was like, this is all about show. It's not about substance. All right. So speaking with new tongues, I'll come back to why this is all important. They will take up serpents. Well, we never did that. Why didn't we do that? They will drink anything deadly. Well, we had communion. That would be a perfect time to give us poison. Why didn't we do that? And they will lay hands on the sick and they will recover. Well, why didn't we go to hospitals and clear them out? That's one of the most arguments I hear, and I hated that argument. Faith is what, you know, you needed to get healed, and if you went to a hospital and healed somebody and they had no faith for it, you know, that was the other argument. So here's the thing. I do believe these things happen. I don't believe they happen every Sunday. I don't believe they happen, well, I should say it this way. I don't believe they happen in your fancy, posh church that's air-conditioned, or I guess maybe you guys live in a northern part of the atmosphere, heated. I don't believe that they happen on a daily basis like people think they do. I believe these mostly happen when you go out and do the Great Commission, which is what? To go out and preach the gospel in like third world countries. And I've heard from people who don't believe in this stuff that this stuff happened to them, and they're like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm a Baptist. I can't handle this. Just accept it. Like, there was some times what I've heard Baptists say that they went on mission trips and they were witnessing somebody, and somebody later on said, you spoke perfect Spanish. And he's like, well, I don't speak Spanish at all. What are you talking about? Because he had an interpreter. But at some points, I don't know if the interpreter just wasn't around, but there was another person there, and they said that you spoke perfect Spanish when you were witnessing this person. And he was like, I don't speak Spanish. And it was like one of those situations where, see, that's speaking with new tongues. I really believe that this kind of stuff happens, but it happens when we're out there preaching the gospel, not when we're in here in our cozy little churches, sitting in our pews with padding, or nowadays chairs with padding. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen in those places. I'm just saying that there's a purpose for what God gives us and why God gives us. He doesn't give it to us because we can put on a show. And I just feel like church was a circus at that point. People came to see they're going to start jumping up and down now. Oh, here they go. They're going to start speaking in tongues. I felt like that's what it became. It became a pony show. That's not why God gave us this. He gave us this to witness to people. And that's one thing. And I don't believe that we go around catching serpents, but if we happen to get bitten by a serpent, don't be afraid. That's what happened to Paul. If we drink anything deadly, which, you know, there's people out there that hate Christians. I don't know if you heard that or not. They might try to poison us. So, in other words, God's saying, go tell the gospel. Don't be afraid. He's given us an insurance policy, basically. Assurance policy, I should say. All right. So lay hands on the sick and they will recover. I've seen that happen. I tell this all the time about my friend who had a tumor in his spine. I'm like, you can't tell me healing doesn't exist. I saw that happen. Now, I've had healings like, well, first time I ever got the flu, I prayed for healing, went to bed. And then, you know, oh, but this went to bed, you got rest. You just happen to be a strong person. Well, okay, maybe so. Because I'm a skeptic in my brain. I'm sitting here going, yeah, that may have been magical healing, because I'm talking from an atheist point of view. Or it may have been that, you know, I just have a healthy body, you know. So getting over a tumor in your spine, no, that was a miracle. That was, even the doctor was baffled. So these things do happen, but I don't think they happen every Sunday in our postural churches. So if you do, we're going to have to agree to disagree. So again, like I said at the beginning, if you're one of these people that believes in this, like it happens every day, every week, whatever, in your church, you can turn off the video. But I'm one of these people, I'm just letting you know that I do believe this stuff happens. I do. I just don't believe it happens in the circus. When you go on the mission field and you cast out demons, because there are demons. We're having a lot of problems right now in America with this. When I saw that woman eating the cat, and I'm not at all jumping on the bandwagon with politics here. I saw the police video. That woman was demon possessed. There's no doubt about it. When I see people screaming at pastors who are just sharing about Jesus Christ in the middle of certain events, they're demon possessed. Because otherwise, why would you care? It's like, if somebody says something, I just move away from them if I don't care about it. Back when I went to NC State, back in the early 90s, you know, if you didn't want to hear the guy out there standing, there was a guy out there that looked like a rabbi, but he was preaching the gospel. I guess he was Amish or something. I don't know. He came out there every day and was preaching the gospel. And sometimes I stop and listen to him while I was eating. And people would gather around and talk to him and ask him questions. But I didn't see people acting the way they do now. I'm horrified when I see videos of people acting the way they do now. At least back then in the 90s, we didn't have the crazies that we have now. We may have, but they knew to stay away. This guy, people may have joked about him. Maybe people walked away and gone, yeah, whatever. I've seen that happen. But they didn't disrespect him to his face, at least not what I saw. I mean, I was there 24/7 on the Brickyard. I wonder if he's still there. Anybody go to NC State, let me know if you see a guy in the Brickyard, or it may be a family tradition. And you know, he's probably too old now, but he was old then. He looked like an Amish person, seriously, with the whole beard and everything. But he was there every day, faithful to the word, preaching. I don't really know exactly if he believes like we believe, you know, but hey, kudos to a person who will do that every day when they could be, you know, making money and hand over fist. All right, so this video has gone on a little bit longer than I like it to, but I just want you to understand that I am not against chapters 16 of Mark, 17 through 18 of verses, speaking out of English, but I do believe they don't happen every Sunday in your postural church. I believe when they're out in the missions, we're out there witnessing, we're out there talking to people, we're out there sharing the word of God in places where they need to have some kind of a sign, because a wicked generation asks for a sign, and none will be given to it except for the sign of Jonas. Jesus spoke that to Jews who had the word. There's people in other countries that don't have the word. They don't have a Bible. That's the difference, I believe.